Dave, first of all, thanks for having me. I hope everybody's having a great day. It honestly is a pleasure to be here. I'm excited about this. I'm super passionate about when you look at the business, as owners of our business, leaders of our business, we have to look at trends and we have to look at patterns and we have to take those very seriously. So when I came into 2023, for me, it was really about looking at the traffic patterns, right? And I I gave you this example, but it really fits here. There's two type of lions in the world, Dave. There really are. There's a lion that lives in a zoo, and there's lions that live in Africa, and they're very, very different lions. And I want to explain what I mean. I went to the Cleveland Zoo with my wife. We walked in, we're looking at the lions. The lion's laying down. Dave, he's completely passed out. He's sleeping. He's having a good time. Zookeeper comes out, throws a piece of meat. And I'll never forget this. The lion never even got up on his feet. He moved his head a little bit, grabbed the meat, and started eating it. Well, I think wireless, we can all relate to that. There was a point in time 10 years ago, 12 years ago, where the food was just coming in. It was just coming. The food was there and we could grab it and we could eat it. It's a different day and age. And you really got to take a look at your traffic patterns and ask yourself, do you want to be a lion in the zoo or do you want to be a lion on the hunt? And for me and my team, it really became down to, we got to go on the hunt. Like the traffic patterns are not going up. And, you saw at the rally, I did the example of, you lose 20% every year. What's that equal in 5 years? That's 100% of traffic. And I told my team, we're not going to sit around and be a zoo lion just waiting for the food. We're going on the hunt because if we don't hunt, others are going to come and take our food. And so for us, it just became very, very serious. And to the point where we said, if we're going to survive, we got to go on the hunt. Customers want a good experience, Dave. They do. They want to come in. They want to sit down. They want to be treated like VIP. And it's time that we all understand that and start driving that. And I noticed right away, working with Ryan Irvin and his team, that the CX scorecard was a great way for us to measure whether we were doing the right things to go on the hunt or were we just laying around waiting for the food to come to us.
So how did you start that culture, Kelly? How did you, what were the first steps that you took to make sure that everybody was fully engaged with this?
Sure. I think the first steps are education. I'm a believer that you got to be a teacher first. So the first thing I did was held a call with my team to explain what I just explained to all of you. Exactly like that. Show the patterns. We got to show the why if we expect people to understand it and make change. So the first step is communication to teach the team exactly what's happening in the traffic patterns. Listen, nobody wants to take a pay cut. I don't care what level you're at. I don't care if you're an owner. I don't care if you work in the front line. I don't care what job you're in. Nobody wants to go into a year saying, hey, I want to take a pay cut. So we got to do a good job of preventing that, making sure our people aren't taking a pay cut. Communication first. Then it's got to become a weekly cadence. Every week, 9 o'clock on Wednesday, my team, Dan can attest to this, my team sees the CX scorecard. And the third piece, after we teach and then we consistently coach, there's got to be a daily cadence. So daily cadence for me is there's 20 calls at a minimum. Now we've doubled that to 40 for this year. So there's a call sheet that Dan's going to show that's 40 calls, gets posted to our group for inspection every single day from every single store. That is the standard. And, sometimes people say, well, how do you get people to there? Well, you teach, you coach. And the third step, Dave, sometimes you got to be a principal. And when you become a principal, that just means I've given you the 3-strike rule. I've talked to you about it. I've taught you about it. I've communicated about it. I've educated about it. I've coached you about it. Now it's time we just got to get it done. Because we got to remember something. People don't always see the value of something until you get them up over the hill. Once you get them up over the hill and they start reaping the rewards of the appointments, the boxes, the GP, the sales, once they start feeling that, then you got a culture of belief. Once you hit a culture of belief, now we're off and running. So that was the steps we took. And we never let our foot off the gas. That's the truth.
And you've had a pretty good success rate with conversion, correct?
Absolutely. So we led the company in appointments in the month of December. It was the highest appointments we ever had, and we still converted at 32%. And we've seen it go as high as 41% on appointments. Appointments. So it's not just driving traffic. We have to drive traffic to a VIP appointment experience via Omni. We utilize Omni to schedule the appointments. The customer wants it. It's better for our salespeople because they can prepare for that appointment. People want a VIP experience. I mean, just think of yourselves, right? Do you want to walk into a wireless store, wait an hour, maybe 2 hours, because you came during a busy time? Then you got to go through all of your process. Where do you think your buying mindset would be, Dave, after 2 or 3 hours of waiting or an hour and a half of waiting? Are you in a good mood to buy? And we all know that emotions lead to buying. When people feel good, they'll spend money, right? So we want to create an experience where they feel good. And that's why appointments, traffic to appointments for us. And it really all begins with easy engaged calls, not text messages, calls, voicemails, whatever it is. Quick hitters, letting them know that we are truly reaching out. We're not just blasting them. We're reaching out and we're truly letting them hear our voices and let them know where we're located. And the whole point of a call, pretty simple, set an appointment. That's all we want to do. If we can set an appointment, we can pull accounts, we can look for opportunity, we can clean the green, we can look for those perk opportunities, we can look for protection opportunities when we upgrade, we can look for that power 6 that you talked about.
Yep.
How do we achieve that without traffic? That's the real question. How do we achieve any of those 6 if the door never swings?
And it's all about customer touches, isn't it?
It is. It really, truly is, Dave. People want to, we would like to think that people are super loyal to us. Well, the reality is they go shopping all the time in retail environments. They don't know what being loyal at this stage in the game with online shopping and retail shopping. And we would like to think that we're good enough, I think all of us, that they'll come back and see us. They had a great experience. But think about this. We're now talking about 3 years, 36 months, or let's even say 30 months because you get an early buyout, right? 30 months. They're not going to remember unless we keep communicating. And the way we do that is we just believe that if we can roll Google, right? So when somebody searches Dan's store, it comes up first. That's our goal, right? He comes up first. That's one touch that we can have, right? Another touch is a voicemail, right? Or a voice call if they answer. That's a second touch. And the third one that's so big for us is ChatterSpot. ChatterSpot is this opportunity to get an additional touch that Dan, all he's got to do is get them opted in. He gets them opted in, let the back end, let ChatterSpot do the work for us on top of what we're doing on the front. We're not going to get there with just one touch anymore. It's the truth. Customers need to hear your voice, hear us, hear where we're located, hear what we got going on over and over and over again. That's where loyalty starts kicking in. That's where they go, that's my store. I want to shop there because they're always trying to do what's right for me.
All right. Hey, I'm going to shift over to Dan. So Kelly talked about as a district level, his, the weekly scorecard. Dan, talk a little bit how you follow up or you set the tone in your stores.
Yeah, so, quite honestly, at the store level, it has to be at a higher frequency. So we make sure that we do sit downs every day to make sure that we're getting tabs on our customer scorecard. The cadence in which we use to engage the scorecard is really just a 3-test rule. But the way that we hold accountability to it is making sure that we sit down with every rep, hold them to that A. Nobody deviates from that A. They have to hit on all categories, whether it be ChatterSpot, the engaged call completion, and Google reviews. So there's a level of accountability and awareness and urgency around each of those categories every day.
So let's talk about what's the behaviors that you put in place so that your staff are experts?
Sure. So I recognize, and I'm sure you all can relate, we've got to keep it super simple when we're
Yeah.
teaching something like this exercise. So we kept it super simple for ourselves and for the customers. For the rep, we have a 3-test rule. So at the end of every sale, we make sure that we touch base with the customers. The first test would be test calls, incoming and outgoing. So we would test the calls to make sure that there's no port interruption, make sure that the phones are activated, and make sure that we can set ourselves up for what comes next, which would be testing the text messages, which would be ChatterSpot, helping the customer opt into ChatterSpot by replying Y, and to get that opt-in percentage up. And then as soon as you reply Y, you get that Google link. And then that's where you would do your third test, which would be testing the internet. And then you would, of course, hand the phone off to the customer. Great, your internet worked out. You said I earned a 5 today. If you don't mind leaving me a review, again, my name is Dan. I'm going to go grab everything in the back, receipt, bag, what have you, give you some time, no pressure. But we want to advocate for those things and speak to those things. And the flow is just super simple. We just mandate it at the end of the sale, and it makes for a really great customer experience.
So Dan, go through that again, because that seems really simple. So, and you're basically hitting all three major categories with regards to the customer. So can you just go real slowly and talk through that again, please?
Yeah. So the way we want to tee ourselves up is we want to make sure the phones are activated. We all know that DP agreements, getting paid is super important, but also advocating for the customer, making sure that their equipment works. So the first test is going to be incoming and outbound calls. Make sure that there's no port interruption or anything like that.
Yeah.
Once we've gotten them comfortable with that concept, we're going to help you test your text messaging now. I sent you a test text. We'll go ahead and get you opted in. There's some additional awards or couponing that comes with that if you would like to stay opted in. But the point of this exercise is to just test your text message out, make sure that it's working. If you want to stay opted in, there's a lot of cool giveaways. There's a lot of cool couponing that we have for you. We're not going to blow you up. It's targeted to you specifically as a loyal customer. And then next and last but not least would be our internet test. So once we get them opted into ChatterSpot for our particular location, we would be poised to test the internet, and it would take you straight to your Google page for the store that you sold out of. So you could position yourself to advocate for Google reviews as well.